I can't cry every day for what might have been. I can't cry every day for what I feel responsible that I allowed to happen. I can't cry every day for, where he might have been. It's constant research that you're always doing to find that one thing that might make a difference in his life, or to change things for him or for other people. And that's really what it all has become about, is how can we help other people with Gavin's story.
David and Nancy Flynn, thank you for being here. This is about your child, your newborn son. You have two children. What is the name of the child that was injured?
Gavin.
Okay. How old is Gavin today?
Gavin is 18 and a half today.
All right. Take us back to when you were pregnant with Gavin and talk us through whether you both had a conversation about vaccines at all.
Oh, okay. Well, the pregnancy was normal up until it wasn't. Gavin was born at 26 weeks. I had preeclampsia, went into HELP syndrome, so they had to take him or lose us both. So he was born June 1st, 2006. And he was in the NICU for several months. And then when he was about 2 months old, the doctors asked me, oh, are you ready to vaccinate? Well, being a first-time mother, I hadn't done my research, and I love research, but I hadn't done it yet because he was so early. And so I was taken aback, and I told them, I said, well, he's not even supposed to be here yet. Don't you think it's too early? And they reassured me, no, it's not too early. We need to protect him. And of course, I inherently trusted these doctors because they had saved my life as well as our son's life. So I've said okay to the Hep B shot. Unbeknownst to me, instead of just giving him the Hep B shot, they continue to give him 4 additional shots for a total of 5 shots in one 24-hour period. When Gavin was born, he weighed 918 grams. And by this point, he had gained some weight, but he was still an itty bitty baby. So right after the vaccines were administered, he then went from the special care nursery back into the NICU. He started having some complications, and they asked me to leave. I was always sitting by his isolette with him, as much as they would let me. So I left the isolette, and they said, no, you need to leave. So I stepped outside of the screen that they then put around him, and they said, no, you need to leave. And I thought, well, where do I need to go? Why do I need to leave? But I wanted them to be able to do what it was that they were going to do to help our son. So I left then the interior room of the special care nursery, and they said, no, you need to leave. So then I walked out in the hall, and
they
didn't want me anywhere around.
They ultimately threw her out of the hospital.
Yeah. So that was our experience, and we didn't really know what all this meant until much later. Anyway, that's kind of how things started with Gavin. So
do you know the shots that he got? You say he had 5 shots. Do you know what they were?
I could pull it up, but it was Hep B.
MMR.
MMR is at 1 year. Sure. I can certainly pull that up. They were considering these his 2-month shots, right? That's what I find interesting.
Yeah, it was a month before he was actually his original due date.
So what happened to your child after that? What did you see happen?
Well, I mean, he was a micropreemie. We brought him home in the middle of September, closer to his due date. The hospital forgot to send him home with his medications, so there were complications then as well. What I really saw was, though, again, he was born in June. In November, I mean, he had decent eye contact. He would smile. He started mimicking what we were saying, which was really surprising. He would, do an approximation of, I love you, or he dada, or the cat walked by and her name was Reggie and Edgy. So that was November, and seemed to be doing fine. And around about March, we took him off of phenobarbital. Why he was put on phenobarbital, they had told me, was for his liver. But the phenobarbital he was put on the day after these vaccines were given. So of course that's an anti-seizure medication.
They never told us he was having seizures.
Never told us he had seizures. So when we pulled him off of the phenobarbital in March, when he was 9 months old, all of a sudden then we started seeing the seizures.
And did you vaccinate him again after that, or did you know it was the vaccines?
I didn't know it was the vaccines, and I continued to vaccinate. He got his MMR at 1.
And flu shots. The doctor said it was very important because he was compromised, that he had to get flu shots. We were giving him all these shots that they told us to get, and then he was just one day he was just gone.
Yeah.
It was right after one of the shots. He just disappeared.
We didn't realize the damage that had been done from the vaccines till he was probably around 16 or 17 months. And that's when we really knew that there was something wrong. He wasn't crawling yet. He didn't crawl till he was 15 months. He didn't walk till he was 18 months. We expected
he 7 when he started speaking again?
Yeah, he was 7.
7 years old after we did some treatments with him and some supplements, and he finally started speaking again.
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you both, with the amount of stories that I've done, it's actually incredible that your son is even alive.
Yeah. We with all the issues we've gone through, we still realize how blessed we are. And there's so many people we've met along this journey, and a lot of single parents dealing with this, and children that have far worse challenges.
Yes.
And not to compare either, because vaccine injury is vaccine injury, but he was born so small and tiny, and
he was so small. He was so small. He looked like a little old man. When they put him in his isolette, they put a little plastic cover over him to keep him warm. He looked like an action figure, like a Star Wars action figure you'd see hanging in a toy store. He was so tiny.
He was tiny.
Very, very unique look he had. He looked like a little old man.
Yeah.
But they didn't just pump him full of vaccines. They pumped him full of drugs with God knows whatever side effects of that.
Yes. No, I mean, even doing, the research on all the drugs that they put him on, in the hospital, we've been trying to detoxify from that. So, I mean, Gavin is our true miracle. He's a true miracle that he survived 26 weeks gestation. He's a true miracle that he survived all these affronts of the vaccines. And we have worked so hard, but I will tell you, Gavin has worked so hard.
He's a tough kid.
He's so disciplined. I mean, even yesterday, I was talking with one of his therapists, and they're like, well, he reads every ingredient on everything that he's, eating. I'm like, he knows. He absolutely knows. I mean, Halloween, he gives away, his candy, and I'm like, that's going in the trash. He'll be like, can I have some of it? And I like 1 or 2 pieces of decent chocolate, and that's about it. But he understands. And then today at 18 and a half, he's 6'6", and he weighs 132 pounds. But this was a little micro preemie, and we have, it's not lost upon us how blessed we truly are, not just to be his parents, but that he has come so far. Every day I read about parents who their children are still in diapers or who are nonverbal, and I get it, because it took him a long time to get to where he is.
So describe him now at 18 years old. Has the vaccine still got an effect on him?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, talk about his life and what the vaccines have taken from him.
We are his legal guardians. We took guardianship in August of this year. He is, and again, we do all sorts of different therapies, and a lot of it has been through through food, and he's not recovered, but he's functional.
And diet and supplementation were that was the main core of what we did with him, and then we did some hyperbaric treatments and things like that. But that was diet and supplementation.
Yeah, but today he's reading. He likes to do he'll memorize the bones of the body, the muscles of the body. He wants to be a fireman. We just encourage him to not give up on what it is he wants to do. He's incredibly smart, but of course, incredibly vulnerable. He couldn't be, I don't know that I would trust him to cross the street on his own. He's, of course, like typical kids with ASD. He doesn't understand the things that he should be leery of, and he doesn't understand his space in this world. So if we're out in public, he might bump into someone or something, and that sometimes causes a problem. So he definitely needs our protection still, but we are pushing him, and he's pushing himself to become as independent as possible. So what else would you say about that?
When was the last time you had a vaccine?
Not since I believe it was October of 2008 was the last time he had a vaccine. And that's where he lost. He used to sing his alphabet. And that's where he lost all. He hasn't sung since then. So that was when we were like, oh my gosh. And it just awful.
He was what, 2.5. And that's when the fight started with the doctors. And I have to give the credit to Nancy. She was a pit bull. They did not want to, let him not get injected more, for lack of a better term. And the fights that we had and keeping them from sticking more poisons into them.
Fights with pediatricians all the time, where we left, a pediatrician went to a different one, and thankfully he understood. Sadly, he had, as a doctor, injured his own son who was not recoverable. So he understood, and we started really understanding that we couldn't inherently trust the doctors that we thought we should trust, that we needed to be his advocate, which is true. And so many parents, I just remember going to get one of his vaccines in his first year of life. And I was driving up to the hospital to his doctor's office. And I heard on AM radio, the news, all these crazy autism moms are out there. Oh, green R vaccines. And I turned it off. I didn't know. So anyway.
Nancy, none of us knew. So you're in good company here. We did the best we could. We trusted. What about your second son? Did you vaccinate your second child?
That's one of the really good things that came out of this.
Yeah.
And
they tried and they tried and they tried.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Gavin was almost a sacrificial lamb for his brother. So his brother had very few shots, and we've, not only that, but with all the work we did with diet and supplementation with Gavin, we all lived by that. So we, how many years were we were gluten-free, casein-free,
7, soy-free,
dairy-free, soy-free, grain-free. Making a pizza was like a whole day event in our house because we had to grind up the cauliflower. It's free start. It was crazy. There's a lot better options now, things like that. But we went so many years with that. Yeah. Our health improved. His younger brother, whether he knew it or not, he
benefited from all of that
greatly. But more than anything, he was saved from probably a similar fate, because I think they're very similar in some ways. And we both think had he gotten the same shots, he would have ended up in the same spot.
Yeah.
Did his second child go to full term?
No, he 36 weeks, and of course I had to have the C-section.
Oh,
so
okay.
he went 10 weeks longer, so he had that benefit as well. And of course, my attention span at that point for being pregnant was kind of gone, because I'd had one at 26 weeks, but we had doctors fighting over that too. That no, every day in the womb is so important, and the doctors they want to schedule the C-sections according to their schedule. They don't want to have a natural childbirth anymore. I didn't have that option with the second one, but I hear about that all the time from other moms saying, "Oh no, they want to schedule the C-section." So there's so much benefit to having a vaginal delivery.
Now, your second child had a few vaccines, so he's still vaccinated, if you like. Does he have any of the issues your first child had?
No, he has other issues.
Sometimes we joke that he's the more difficult child, but they're about as opposite as you can get. But thankfully, he doesn't have those those injuries that his brother had. So he's
right. Well, and the reason being is that the doctors were still scaring us into, oh, you're going to be protecting them, and you would see like this very gentle doctor who would come in. I remember even when Gavin was in 6th grade, oh well, it's time to do the meningitis shot, and I'm like, no. And all of a sudden she became this wicked woman, and I just was like, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back here. This is a child who I've had doctors who would write Gavin letters saying that he had an adverse reaction to vaccines. Please exempt him from any future vaccines. And these doctors would just dismiss this. And and just the name calling and the way we were treated,
intimidation,
total
heavy,
intimidation.
and we all know now. I mean, it's come out now, especially with the pediatricians. A significant portion of their income is based on the percentage of their patients that are fully vaccinated. So I'm sure you guys are all well aware of that, but we didn't know at the time. We just took them for the wellness check, and it just seems like the wellness check is just training them to bring them in and get them shot. So it was a fight, and these kind doctors, some of little old men and very nice women, and they just turned into pit bulls when we said we did, and they brutalized you. I thought you were gonna come to blows a few times.
There were a couple times I think that we were about to. Gavin's brother is incredibly gifted. He has also been the beneficiary of the fact that Gavin had ABA therapists in the house. He doesn't understand at this age, and he's 15. He doesn't understand the benefit that he has derived from the fact that he has a brother with special needs.
Wait, he's 15. He knows everything.
Yeah. That's where we joke and we say he's actually at times more difficult. Gavin is a dream. We have been so blessed with this child who just wants to do right. He's so compliant. Doesn't mean he's not without behaviors, but we do recognize that in the full scheme of things that we're pretty blessed with how well he is doing. It doesn't mean that on a daily basis. I mean, up until he was 5, there was every day I was on the floor crying. And Dave just gave me a figurative slap in the face one day. He goes, "You're not helping him, and you're not helping me.
Not a literal.
You're not helping.
Not a literal.
Not a literal figurative." I said figurative, but and that's where I finally was like, I can't cry every day for what might have been. I can't cry every day for what I feel responsible that I allowed to happen. I can't cry every day for where he might have been. And it's still every day, you still have those feelings, but you have to push them aside. And I have found that, we just remain optimistic and do everything that we can. And it's constant research that you're always doing to find that one thing that might make a difference in his life, or, to change things for him or for other people. And that's really, what it all has become about, is how can we help other people with Gavin's stories.
And along with that, he's happy. So it's, I think sometimes there's a little loneliness because he has a hard time, building any meaningful relationships, but he's happy. He doesn't know what he lost. We know what he lost. And that's what's hard to deal with sometimes is just seeing that he's.
Well, and what's upsetting too for his younger brother is his younger brother feels like he doesn't have a brother. And he's at the point at 15 where, having a brother is important to him. He sees his friends that have, things that they go do with their brother.
Yeah, they're neurotypical.
Yeah.
David and Nancy, you talk about this so well. And what you talk about, it's just, I know you're not on your own, but it's what we're all living with as parents that have the same story as you. So thank you for that, because there are other issues, with the siblings. And the siblings is an untold story that one day someone will tell. Question for you both. Many of the parents like us been traumatized through COVID with the pandemic of the unvaccinated. And then, of course, we watched Bobby Kennedy going through his hearings with, "You're not a doctor, vaccines are safe and effective." It was like post-traumatic stress to us parents, because everything that was thrown at Bobby was what we had thrown at us when we would go to the doctors.
Yes.
Talk us through how you're feeling about what is going on. Do you feel people are waking up? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, they're definitely starting to. We when COVID happened, because we actually ended up getting into the nutrition industry because that became our entire life with our son. So after 3-4 years, we kind of moved into that industry. We've been in it almost 15 years now. When COVID came around, we said, we've seen this before. This is deja vu. This is exactly what they did to our kids, except instead of it happening to a relatively small percentage at the time of children over 50 years, it was happening to everyone all at once, crammed into a couple of years. So it just like what the things we did for Gavin helped our family. The experience we went through really gave us some clarity to go through that. Unfortunately, I think a lot of other people didn't have. So we weren't vaccinated. You know, obviously we didn't vaccinate the kids. Almost everyone we know, friends, family, coworkers, almost everyone we know was vaccinated. And we were like the crazy vaccine ladies you turned off on the radio, because we would tell them, don't get it, it's poison. And then, you know, I'd talk to someone in the family and say, well, I wanted to go on a trip. I had to go on a plane, so I got it. Or I was at the store and they were free, so I got one. And people didn't know, but everyone was lied to. And, you know, I have thoughts on what happened, and I think I'm right, but we don't have to go into why it happened. I don't think it's as important why it happened. It's just people have to understand what happened, and people are waking up. The fact that Bobby just got confirmed. That's, you know, that's a big sign. People are waking up slowly, and you know, we see a lot of segregation, because when we actually ended up bringing out products to help people that got the shots, and that's a big part of our business right now. And there were two camps. There were the people that thought we were crazy because we're anti-vaxxers, and we said we're not anti-vaxxers. It was poison they put in you. You just have to, you know, get your body to get it out. But on the other side of the scale, there were the purebloods, and they said, well, all those people pushing the vaccines, they can all die. They can you know, go to hell. We said, that's not good. What are you gonna do if half the country dies? That's not gonna be good for anyone. So it's been I think it's been hard on people. I think having to accept, I think there's a lot of guilt, especially if they, you know, we have a lot of guilt for giving our son vaccines. We didn't know. There's a lot of people that got their kids vaccinated. They didn't know, and they have to accept the fact that it's not their fault, but they have to do something about it. And that is starting to happen. I mean, it took us years. We still, they're, you know, upset that we did it, and with Gavin. And you know, what happened to our son was a crime also. And in fact, when we finally got the stack of medical records, which it fills a binder about this thick.
Oh, that's just for the first 3 years.
Yeah, years after the fact, we're going through that binder, and all the records from the day he got the vaccine for like a week, they're all missing.
They're all missing. So, I mean, I saved everything, and then after I realized what had happened, I went back to the hospital and requested records. And that period from August 2nd to August 9th, completely missing.
No records at all.
Nothing at all. You know, we were focused more on his recovery than we were on litigating. And we had a friend's fiance was an attorney. He goes, well, don't worry about it. You have until majority of age +2. So you have till he's 20 for you to litigate this. So we were like, great, you know, we're going to focus on his recovery. So around about age of 12, when I felt that he was doing remarkably well, you know, he was student of the year that all the teachers were voting him for. He was finally functioning so much better, relatively speaking, of course, that I took everything into an attorney. I went to the best attorney here in town. They'd never lost a case, and took it to them. And they, of course, kicked it back. Well, because of 2004 medical malpractice law, you know, we don't feel we can find a sympathetic jury. So I knew it was a blow off. Took a couple months to catch my breath on that, took it back into another attorney, laid everything out for them because I felt that's what I needed to do. And they got back to me 3 months later. They said, you absolutely have a medical malpractice case. And I was just, thank goodness. They said, how old is Gavin? I said, he's 12. They said, you had till he was 10. So it was another kick in the ribs, but you know, we carry on. But
that, you know, and this is what, you know, everyone deals with those cases. There's so many laws protecting the vaccine manufacturers. It's even if we had proceeded, that's a really hard road. You're talking about COVID. I mean, that's even, they've given them extra immunities, and if you get down to it, at the end of the day, they're going to claim that it wasn't them that did it. It was the Department of Defense running it. So they're immune from lawsuits. So it's both crimes, both horrible crimes. The COVID crime, you know, the numbers we've seen, incredible numbers that, you know, over 30 million people now have been killed by the shots and hundreds of millions injured. So it's literally the biggest crime maybe in the history of the planet. And, you know, there needs to be accountability. There needs to be, you know, I think we're going to start seeing more info come out. I think more people are waking up every day. Unfortunately, what we've seen is a lot of the people waking up, they don't wake up until they get, you know, a turbo cancer diagnosis, or someone they know dies, or, you know, someone they know gets really sick. I mean, we know multiple people that died within 48 hours of the shot.
Uh-huh.
And it's, everyone say, well, that's just anecdotal. Well, it's not. If everyone knows a couple people that had that happen to, it's not anecdotal anymore. It's just someone's preventing all that data from being aggregated because they don't want us to look into it.
Well, it's like they say autism is a genetic epidemic. There's no such thing.
Well, it used to be the freezer moms, what they call them?
The refrigerator
moms.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you've throwing insults at us for years. Well, to both of you, thank you for telling the story. It's criminal what happened to your beautiful child, and we're terribly sorry. But
thank you for having us.
Your son and so many others, they did take one for the team, for everyone to wake up. So to them, we're eternally grateful. So thank you to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Reagan's birthday will be on a Tuesday, so I am done with school on the 17th of December of semester 1.
Okay.
So I have school from December 18th until January 4th on Tuesday.
So you just made that the calendar of December to January. Okay.
I'm off of school for for 2 weeks until the 4th. So I'll come back on the 4th. So I'm off, and the next one I'm off on the 17th.
Okay, of January.
A Martin Luther King Jr.
Gavin, turn that into February now.
For my IV, yeah.
IV, okay.
And then turn that into February right now.
Okay, so now this is the calendar of February with, all right.
So Valentine's Day is February 14th on Monday.
Okay.
And then there is no school on the 21st of February.
On the 21st, okay.
So maybe I'll get my IV by then.
Okay, you have your IV on that day, huh?
Yeah, and then March is St. Patrick's Day is on Thursday, and then the first day of spring equinox is the 20th.
Okay.
And I have school for the whole month of March.
And then in April, it's party time, right? You get out of school?
Yeah. I get out of school, which is because Easter is gonna be the 17th of April.
Okay.
And then I'll be out of school on April 8th on Friday.
Okay.
So I'm off of school from the 9th to the 17th.
Okay.
And then May. We'll go all the way to May.
Okay.
So I have school in May until the 20th.
Okay.
My last day of 10th grade school is the 20th of May.
Last day of 10th grade school? Oh my gosh.
So Memorial Day is the 30th. So my birthday will be on my 16th birthday is going to be on a Wednesday.